Today's episode is brought to you by our good friends over at Com4, your true partner for IoT connectivity. Unlock the future with Com4's free IoT test kit. Get up to 5 SIM cards, each with 100 megabytes of data, supporting 2G, 3G, 4G, 5G, LTE-M, and NB-IoT. Revolutionize your IoT projects with ease and reliability. Start your IoT journey now at com4.no. Welcome, Nir and Kyle, to the IoT For All Podcast. Thanks for being here this week.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's great to have both of you. Before we jump into the conversation, I'd love it if you could each give an introduction about yourself, and then one of you just give an overview of the company. That'd be awesome.
Nir Shalom, I'm the CEO of floLIVE. floLIVE is delivering global infrastructure, solution and services for IoT connectivity, starting from solutions for the mobile network operators to the MVNOs and primarily for the large enterprises of the market.
And I'm Kyle Okamoto. I'm based in New York, father to 2 wonderful children, and I'm helping floLIVE out as the executive director of strategy from a board perspective. Prior to that, I was the general manager of Eris's IoT business and the general manager of Ericsson's IoT business, as well as several other roles in the telecommunications space for over 20 some odd years.
Obviously, great backgrounds from both of you, and been very, very familiar on my side with floLIVE for quite a while. So, like I said before, excited to have you both on and kind of dive into some really interesting topics today. First one I want to talk about is kind of related to market consolidation. So, if market consolidation is becoming more of a homogenization in providing connectivity, and IoT is becoming increasingly more verticalized, how can this conflict be addressed? And Kyle, I'll throw that over to you.
I would say that every use case from the different verticals has a core set of features, right, and functions and requirements and quality level. I call that kind of the table stakes or the foundation, and that really applies to all verticals. And you really have to fulfill that to get IoT proof of concepts off the ground, right? And then on top of that foundation, there needs to be solutions, right, packaged up to support verticals, like e-calling for tracking your automotive use cases, for example. I'm sure Nir has several more. So you really do have to be good at both, right? You have to support a homogeneous IoT connectivity market as a whole, while then delivering those high quality solutions for vertical segments. And I think what's great about floLIVE is that, we understand the unique aspects of the IoT verticals while ensuring a very solid foundation. Like, for example, from a technology perspective, like building a microservices architecture with a cloud-based IoT networking and platform perspective, that gives us the flexibility to really drive simplicity and avoid customizations. So being flexible without customizing. And that's really what you need for cost-effective and cost-efficient scale.
I completely agree, and I would say that if we look on the table stakes, as Kyle just mentioned, that every IoT use case will look on the availability of the solution, the ability to connect anywhere in the world, compliance, security as mandatory requirements to having the solution. So all these capabilities must be addressed with a solution that is being delivered. And then eCall for the automotive industry is definitely a good example. But if we look, for example, on the cellular satellite convergence for tracking use cases, or use cases that require coverage anywhere in the world, and also in remote locations, this is another example of where you need to verticalize your solution and get more capabilities for your customers. Another example would be network performance, where we talk about video use case, the ability to send high amount of data to the network in a short time frame, consistently around the world with low latencies and high throughput. So this is a different use case than tracking, obviously, which is a low power use case with different requirements, but still requires the same flexibility that Kyle was referring to before. And indeed, a modern microservices-based architecture allows flexibility in the solution while keeping the fundamental requirements, coverage, cost control, availability in place.
Absolutely. All those are very important elements to making an IoT kind of adoption successful or profitable. And I know one thing I've talked about with people on the podcast in the past is around the power and availability of global connectivity now versus, over the last number of years, where the lack of it really caused issues in solutions being adopted in certain verticals. So given that global connectivity is crucial for the advancement and adoption of IoT, but not every provider can kind of meet those requirements a lot of times now due to market consolidation, as we're kind of already talking to, that does cause organizations to see IoT deployments, IoT solutions, maybe not as easy to integrate in, easy to bring on board, maybe not as profitable. So why is this kind of something that's not maybe as big a table stakes as it maybe we want it to be? Is this due to the shrinking market, or because offerings are just not structured in a way that makes it viable for these organizations to bring in IoT into their business?
I would say that yes, obviously the trend is very clear around consolidation, but really why, right? If you think about the MNOs and the MVNOs that are, critical partners in this ecosystem, they've had a hard time to make IoT profitable and sustainable over time, right? And that's really due to operational complexity, inability to optimize marginal costs, and really requiring a lean and scalable platform and network. In my role in Ericsson and Aris, we worked with over 35 providers around the world, and we looked at all the platform options when divesting Ericsson's IoT company. So I can definitely speak from direct experience around consolidation because I was part of that. It's really about legacy technologies, right? There's too many technologies, too many platforms. There's aggregation of disparate technologies with no optimization. Several generations of technology with no kind of strict end-of-life processes, reliance on hardware deployments with, little to no capacity optimization. You put all of those problems in the ecosystem and it naturally drives consolidation in a fragmented market. And that's, floLIVE really approaches the tech stack from a very different perspective, right? With several kind of key tenets, being cloud native, completely virtualized, automation from the ground up, right? AI and ML-based monitoring, zero-touch provisioning, right? All of those kind of buzzwords turn into reality to really drive cost and complexity out of the business. But they're hard. It's not easy, right? It's hard but critical to really help enterprises and MNOs and MVNOs to be successful. I would say, on the point of global core infrastructure, it's really about being local. I remember the shopping bags for all the high-end retailers would have the cities that they were located in, right? New York, Milan, London. And they said, we're a global company. Now, if you talk to my, young child about that, they'll be like, what do you mean? I can buy this anywhere, everywhere, because of the internet. I don't need to go to a store, right? Like you have to become global by being local. Nir talked about data sovereignty before. That requires certain aspects of the platform and the network that need to scale in a microservices fashion. And you have to be inherently local at scale to become global. And I think that's a very hard thing to do when you're a regional, MNO or a regional MVNO. And that's why there's so many partnerships with floLIVE in that space.
The problem is complex. And many companies, what they do to come and solve this problem, they go and they try to solve it with kind of another technology they onboard, or acquiring another company that maybe solve that problem specifically, maybe for a specific region or with specific capabilities, or integrating with another maybe MNO, mobile network operator, in a different way. And what it does over time, while it solves the short-term problem of a specific customer, adds complexity and eventually cost to the solution. And then after a few years, the ARPUs are going down and the cost of the solution is going up. And these companies find themselves in non-profitable solutions for IoT. And now we are seeing consolidations and, ways for these companies, or looking for ways to exit from this market. We believe that the only way to solve it is to start from the cost of scale. To have that in mind when you design the solution and you design the architecture, and then go and look on the rest, because the ARPUs of the IoT connectivity are not going to go up. We need to always show the value for our customers and deliver more capabilities and features to let them address their needs. But we need to keep in mind that they will not be able to pay much more for them. Building a global solution, as Kai said, which is also local, meaning it solves the local problems in the different geographies or for specific use cases and capabilities, while keeping a consistent architecture that is easy to maintain, that behaves the same in all the different locations, which takes the operation and maintenance costs down, which takes the developing costs down, is the only way to deliver the features, the double steps we talked about before, and the additional functionality customers do need for each vertical, while keeping the unit cost still low, the marginal unit cost still low, and stay in this business. That's the philosophy I'm trying to adopt here.
As we expand beyond the kind of the connectivity side, we talk a little bit about other technologies that are playing a role in these IoT solutions to provide value to these companies. AI has come up a lot in recent months, maybe over the last year and a half. I think it's come up even more. And when you think about AI and IoT, AIoT, as a lot of people are calling it now, it gains a lot. It's gained a lot of attention in the media. People are out there searching to try to figure out, well, I need to do AI, but what does it actually mean? How's that going to work? How have you all seen AI kind of playing a role in all of this, and where you see kind of that value coming in from your perspective?
There's really like a market angle and a technology angle. And those two things need to come together, of course. AI is driven by data. And if you have a garbage in problem, you're going to have a garbage out problem. IoT connectivity and enablement are really the data generation engines that power AI and ML to give you the right insights and capabilities that you can trust and that you can act on and you can leverage in your business to do something, right? So we, have a responsibility to be the source of truth and a protected data pipeline. I think that's foundational. 75% of enterprises say they want to spend more in AI. You're tracking the amount of times AI gets said in quarterly, results, earnings calls. I think there's no argument there that everybody wants to use it more. And so it's really about how do you get the right data pipelines and the right insights out of that data pipeline. And as Nir talked about before, one of the key aspects that floLIVE uses AI and ML for is really to improve the marginal unit economics for our customers. Things like protecting data overrun, identifying anomalies, blocking malicious actors, educating our customers about their usage and their applications to give them actual recommendations on how to optimize or improve the overall service. And then eventually getting to the point where those recommendations and optimizations are automatically implemented and judged and scored and monitored accordingly, so you have somebody watching the watchers, right? But I think AI becomes more and more part of the underlying services and solutions that floLIVE provides, and it already has, and this will only continue for the benefit of the enterprises. But really, it's about that solving that garbage in, garbage out paradigm and giving them a trusted and protected data pipeline to leverage.
Yeah, absolutely, and this, I think this is really spot on with regards to AI. So just to summarize it, I would say that first of all, we are the trusted mean of delivering the data, which is fundamental for each AI use case. This is number one. Without transferring the data in a consistent way. Because we know that when you look at an AI deployment for any organization, there is one piece which is the logic of the AI that creates the value, but everyone knows that there is a very big piece on data management. How you bring the data over, how you control, manage it, anonymize it, make it ready in a pipeline for the AI algorithm to go and use. And we are in this part exactly. We are the trusted partners to deliver the data to wherever the customers need that data to be in the right way, in a secured way, so they can really use AI techniques to improve their business results. This is number one. And the second thing is, we spoke about the needs of this market. And we spoke about this tension between growing number of needs in terms of coverage and consistency and availability, and specific needs like e-call for the automotive industry and maybe satellite coverage for the tracking industry. So we have a lot to add in to make it a viable solution for our customers. And then we spoke about the economics of the scale. And basically AI is a tool for us to try and to basically balance between the two. AI is a mean for floLIVE to get our customers with the value they need, with the features they need on one hand, on a global scale, in a very robust way, in a very scalable fashion. On the other hand, but in a unit cost that they can take advantage of to keep their business profitable. And you cannot use it, and you cannot do it, this magic I call it, if basically you don't use the best technologies that are out there to optimize your operation, to look for anomalies, to lower the the manual work. All these things can be done with the AI, which are exactly doing what we said. All the feature set, all the scalability and availability for a control marginal unit cost.
It's been a very interesting space to kind of follow. Is just, and you both kind of said it and alluded to it, is that the data that you are collecting from the physical world is being collected by IoT sensors and devices, and being able to power those AI algorithms requires good data, and then that allows you to then have good data that's coming out. It's something that more people are starting to understand how AI can play a role in their business and what AI actually means to play a role. And I think for the organizations that are in the IoT space, really helping educate people on what role AI is playing in these solutions, the power it's really providing, and not just using it as kind of a marketing keyword to just get people's attention, but really showing how AI is playing a role with the IoT pieces across the entire solution within a vertical. I think is going to lead to a lot more adoption, understanding of how these technologies are working together to provide, better efficiency and better just overall results than people have seen in the past with adopting these solutions. Let me ask you something. I had a conversation a couple weeks ago about own global cellular infrastructure, and I think one thing I learned from some of our audience members is they're still not as I guess understanding of exactly what that means and what the value is. And so I'd love it if you could maybe take us through, and Nir, we can start with you, is just what does it mean we're talking about own global cellular infrastructure, and how do you kind of see that role evolving in the context of emerging technologies like 5G, RedCap, NTN, and beyond, those kinds of things?
So first of all, it's a great question. First of all, the question of when we talk about a dedicated infrastructure of any type, why would a customer require to have something dedicated? Meaning, what are the extra things customers would want to do that they would prefer not to do with the existing, public available set of capabilities, because the public available set of capabilities are really vast, and they provide many ways for customers to address their needs. And I think it comes down to primarily two critical needs, or three critical needs that customers are looking at. Number one is security. Number two is quality of service. And number three is control. When you look on these three elements, and different customers may have different scenarios that may require using these three elements differently, but many of the customers that we are seeing now are requiring either more security or higher quality or more control. More control is the ability to customize the system behavior exactly to their use case needs. And today, we spoke about AI before. Today, the platforms do allow a lot of things that customers can do to really make it very much tuned to their specific needs. And when you basically look on a dedicated infrastructure, even if you look on using some parts of the public networks, but still keep a global private instance of yours, when it comes to your management platform, when it comes to your networking capabilities, it really takes these three elements, security, quality, control, to the maximum extent that you can look at. You can have the most secure solution, because you can connect a dedicated global platform to your own command and control systems, to your Active Directories, to your security systems, to your SOC if you want to, because it's dedicated and private. You can define the system behaviors. If, for example, you have a high throughput use cases and the packet size needs to be A and not B, because you push a lot of data in a short time, you can configure the network to behave this way and not be compromising on the public global solution, so performance can be better. And you can have the maximum control in putting the checkpoints, in putting the reporting, the anomaly detection, specifically to the needs that you may have. And these things they all exist, of course, with the public solutions as well, or with the, let's say, cloud-native solutions, but you can do much more when you go to dedicated solutions, and we see some demand coming in to these types of use cases. The second thing is the convergence between private and public network. Sometimes you do need a private network, including a private, as we call it, radio, meaning antenna, for some use case. And this is a dedicated network. And now comes the question of, how do I want to connect this private network with the public domain? Meaning, do I want to have a backup of my private network, which is one of the big operators in my country, just in case my private network is not performing well, or there is an outage? Do I want to have, automatic handoffs of devices coming in and out, a private network? All these use cases that are starting from a private instance require some more thinking when we think about resiliency and smooth operation for customers. So for these different needs, we're seeing private instances coming in, but are corresponding with global solutions and with public solution, and not necessarily a standalone solution.
Comes down to customer ownership of their ecosystem, right? And so as we evolve networks, it's really about exposing those capabilities in a controlled fashion to give customers more and more ownership of their ecosystem. So I think that's exactly the underlying tenet there.
Nir, let me throw this back to you. I wanted to ask about, for listeners out there who are in the process of either adopting or putting together or kind of bringing IoT into their business. When we talk about connectivity as a whole, it's becoming more and more commoditized. And I think it's important for people to understand what to look for when deciding what type of connectivity organization to work with, how to choose the right connectivity, those kinds of things. So when it comes to selecting a provider, what capabilities should be considered, or what do you think should really be at the top of mind to be thinking through or considering when making that decision? And then are there value-added services that make a larger impact on the business that might be worth noting and really understanding before kind of deciding which path to go down and company to work with?
Yeah, it's a very good question. First of all, I would like to start with the obvious. Meaning, the obvious thing is that your connectivity provider must provide you with consistent, highly available, secure connectivity for your specific use case in any specific location you may have. And this may sound trivial, but first of all, customers must check that. Because what we see today, that the vast majority of the solutions are roaming-based solutions. And fundamentally, roaming is not always the right solutions for the very basic thing that I've just mentioned. So first of all, I would take a list of countries with a specific, as we call it, RAT type or specific connection type that you need, and the behaviors of the connection that you need, meaning throughput, are you sensitive to performance, the availability that your solution requires, and the compliance coming with it. Meaning, for example, do you need the information to be kept in country or in region because of GDPR or other regulations? Do you need the information to come out from a local IP address? First of all, check on the very fundamental things that will disqualify your use cases if they are not there. And you'll be surprised to see that not so many solutions can really check all these marks and saying, yes, we are compliant, we are secure, we provide the performance you need in all the different locations you need, and for the right price point. So this is number one. And this one alone will disqualify many, many, many names out there in the field. And then, of course, you need to look on the specific things or specific capabilities that your use case may require. Kyle and I just mentioned a few of them. I don't want to repeat these things, but obviously, not every solution is capable of drilling down into the specific vertical capabilities and needs. And these need to be addressed. So this is another thing to look at. These are all very basic and fundamental, and I'm sure that every user of IoT is looking at. But then you need to look on the future as well. Which solution can really be nimble and move quickly to address your future needs as well? Which solutions can address your future needs, not only in terms of features and capabilities, being nimble and innovative, but also from a coverage standpoint, meaning if I'm going with a vendor, because today I need connectivity in 5 countries, but then I'll need down the stream connectivity in other countries, can the solution that I'm selecting expand to basically address these other capabilities, that it have the ability to grow seamlessly to other or to new territory? When we speak about nimbleness and innovative approach, is the partner that I'm selecting can really deliver capabilities quickly to the field. Why? Because we know that IoT is a very dynamic field. The devices may change, the operating system of the devices may change, the needs may change. We spoke about AI. Maybe tomorrow morning you will need capabilities and features you do not think about today. Can your provider be innovative enough to really move on and deliver? Does your provider have ownership of the technology so they can innovate and deliver features to the market quickly without being dependent on 5, 6, 7 different vendors on their back? Don't only look on your data stacks requirements today, which by themselves will disqualify some solutions, but also look on the ability of your provider to be a future-proof provider. AI-based, can expand from coverage and control costs, and can innovate and iterate quickly to correspond with the dynamic nature of the market that we are at.
I'm a big fan of job theory, right? Customers want to get jobs done at an appropriate value. So connectivity is a foundational component. And as Nir mentioned, it's really an enabler for IoT solutions. So some customers may only care about, compliance and high performance and low costs. Another customer may care about security and flexibility and control. Connectivity is a part, not the whole of what the customers want. And I think that's where floLIVE spends, a massive amount of time focusing on connectivity enabled solutions, not just simply a connectivity product.
I agree with you. I think that's been a thing I've noticed change a lot in the connectivity space. I feel like there's been tons and tons of connectivity companies out there. It's been hard for companies to understand all the nuances of the connectivity, and until more recently, as connectivity has kind of integrated themselves into these end-to-end solutions, and the companies that build and offer connectivity are thinking about it from that angle, as opposed to just kind of a component of a solution, which I think might complicate things. With that fragmentation, the market has kind of always had to kind of overcome, I guess. So to wrap this kind of back to where we started talking about consolidation, Kyle, I'll throw this over to you. How much consolidation, or how much more consolidation, do you anticipate? And are there areas potentially of IoT, whether it's the connectivity, the hardware, you name it, that you kind of suspect consolidation is going to kind of, I guess, continue at or maybe even grow at a more rapid pace? And if so, will that cause issues with IoT adoption, or do you think it's going to provide potentially benefits for companies, and the ones that are the strongest and provide the best value will survive, and it'll make the decision process potentially even easier for people to know who to work with?
I would say that sustainability is paramount, right? So that enables you to have cash flow for solution investments. To Nir's previous point, to keep up with the challenges of tomorrow and the dynamics of this market constantly changing, you need to be able to invest and have a very solid R&D foundation that enables you to be fast and agile. You need to enable companies to think about the future and the evolution of the market with a platform that can continue to kind of prioritize security and compliance, which are always the first things to go when budgets are restricted. So you can't kind of lose sight of those things and just chase new products. And as we've talked about here, like there's several platforms out there that are not moving to sustainability. So yes is the answer to your question. There will be more consolidation because those platforms will be required to either consolidate or exit, meaning they just simply won't be able to keep up. And we see that as a good thing, as we build and grow in a sustainable fashion. I like to always say it takes a village in this space. It's really about an ecosystem to make IoT work. It's complex and dynamic. So we have a very, I'll call it, open mindset to work with partners and co-opetors or competitors, as you might say, whatever is good for the industry, right? So floLIVE actually spends a significant amount of time and investment on enabling MNOs and MVNOs to succeed because we see them as a critical portion of the overall ecosystem and industry. From a technology perspective, eSIM continues to be a core component of the floLIVE platform, where the evolution will continue to be around, customers having more and more control of their eSIMs. That actually allows customers to move right away from the platform much more easily and quickly. But it also affords an opportunity for customers to scale, both geographically and vertically, with more services supported, on those eSIM connectivities. So we see that as a positive trade-off, and we value that and progress that from an industry perspective, even if it means that customer could potentially move to a competitor. So I feel like, it's the concept of it takes a village will continue in this market. But I think the way floLIVE is building out the platform and supporting that market overall, we look at consolidation as a good thing.
The dynamics of the market are not going to change. Customers are going to keep demanding the table stakes that Kyle described before, and for companies like floLIVE to come in and innovate and deliver the future requirements as well. That will require a lot of investment in technology and global infrastructure integration with more and more partners. On one hand, the ARPUs are going to stay the same or even decrease from time to time. And that is going to create a lot of pressure on companies because I don't think that many companies have the technology and capabilities to meet these dynamics without increasing their operational complexity or increasing their costs. And these companies will eventually need to be looking for consolidations to be able to keep alive. So this is going to stay, and I think it's good because it will basically make the company that did build their solutions from the ground up in the right way to address these future needs, to deliver the right solutions and shine up. So that's our plan.
Very exciting stuff. I really appreciate you both taking the time. Second episode we've done in the last month or so with you all, and always a pleasure to have the conversation, learn what you have going on, and excited to kind of see how things continue to evolve over there. So excited to get it out to our audience.
Thank you very much, Ryan. Thank you very much, Kyle.
Take care, guys.